I'm going to meet with Elliot Warrington now. He lives in a Victorian solid wall construction house here in the centre of Macclesfield, and he's done loads of work on making it much warmer, more comfortable, and a healthier home to live in. So, Elliot, what have you done to make your home more energy efficient?
I've insulated it and I've improved the ventilation. I've put very, very low energy lighting in, draft proofed it. I've put intelligent heating controls in it and put water savers in it. And I monitor how much gas and electric I use so that I can try and tweak out the way we live in it as well. And at the weekend when we're in the house all day, I light a fire.
Okay. So tell me about the insulation that you've put in.
Well, I live in you could probably tell, a hard to treat house. It's solid walls, 9 inches of solid brick, which is very bad in terms of keeping the heat in. Tend to lose about a third of your energy through the walls. So the main insulation I've done is to insulate the exterior walls because it's an 1860 property. So because I'm in a conservation area, I can't do anything to the outside of the front of the house, so all of the front of the property is insulated on the inside with 70mm of phenolic foam and then plasterboarded and then plastered and painted and decorated.
So what difference has the insulation made to your home?
What I used to notice was when the heating went off in the morning, by an hour later the house was freezing cold again. So I've either got to light a fire or leave the heating on all day long if we're in the house all day. Since I've insulated the walls, this is probably one of the best rooms, and insulated the windows and everything, draft proofed and everything else. When the boiler goes off now, it doesn't seem to drop the temperature very much at all. It drops a couple of degrees all day. And what I'm finding I'm doing now is instead of leaving the heating on all day, it goes off about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then when it feels a little bit nippy, I'll just blip it for an hour and just to pick the temperature up again, and I maybe do that once, possibly twice a day. But it's the combination of the ventilation and the insulation, and it's the ventilation that's made the biggest difference here, because I went around every room in the property, measured the humidity, and it ranged from 70 to 75% humidity. Now bearing in mind anything over 70% humidity is bad news, because that's when you get black mould forming. I didn't want my kids growing up in a house that potentially was going to give them health problems as a result of the high humidity.
What else have you done to your home?
I think one of the biggest changes I've done just recently is to put programmable radiator valves on every radiator in the house. So I have a program on the computer that says bedroom, living room, bathroom, and for every room in the house I can say, right, your radiator come on at 9 o'clock, go off at 10 o'clock. So every single room in the house is its own zone now, and I can program everything to the laptop. And the main benefit of that is that because I work at home in an office, when I go down to the office, all of the radiators everywhere else in the house turn off automatically and come on half an hour before I want them to come on when I finish work. And then the office goes off when I come back upstairs. So it's like you only have the heat when you need the heat, rather than trying to keep the whole place warm just because you're using part of it. And I think that's going to make a huge difference on the bills. It's hard to tell exactly yet, but I don't like the idea of warming a space that you're not going to use all day.
So what have you done to the lighting in your home?
I've been experimenting with LED lighting for a few years now. At the moment, every single light bulb in the house is an LED. Some of the old ones, I've got to say, were pretty poor. With blue light, very dim. But I've kind of been doing a lot of trial and error, and now the lights I've got now, I'd say, are far better than the old ones used to be, the halogens and the incandescent lamps. So I've got the same, if not better, light for probably 10 or 20% of the electricity I used to use. I've got halogen replacements, which I've taken a 50-watt halogen bulb out that gets red hot. I put a 5-watt in, and it's a nicer light. It's cool to the touch. I don't have to worry about the kids handling hot light bulbs anymore. And it really has improved the light quality of the house. I can have background lighting on now, maybe use 20-30 watts, and I've got every room in the house is illuminated if I want it to be. So it's just, I would say I've got more light now for a fraction of the electricity I used to have, and I don't get stressed about switching light switches off so much.
So what would you say the benefits are from doing this work?
Well, some of the benefits I've noticed, which I hadn't expected, are the house is a lot quieter now because we've secondary glazed or double glazed windows, and we just don't hear the road anymore. We're only 200 yards from the dual carriageway on the Silk Road, and it was always cars and trucks and road noise. It just seems to have gone. It feels like you're living in the country, and we're 100 yards from the town hall. It feels warm and comfortable. The parts of the house that were almost out of bounds at certain times of the year, just too cold to live in comfortably. We now have breakfast in the kitchen because that room has gone from one of the coldest rooms in the house to one of the most comfortable. And when I compare with other people in perhaps smaller properties, I seem to be using it a lot less than they are. And I live and work at home. I'm here all the time pretty much. Another benefit on the ventilation is it has filters, so the air that comes in has been filtered, so it stops pollen coming in and dust, and the air that goes out is also filtered. And if you pull that filter out, I'll probably show you later, the amount of dust that it seems to suck out of the air instead of it hanging in the air. We don't seem to do as much dusting anymore. We don't need to put air fresheners in. If we have a bath or a shower, you step out 10 minutes, 5 minutes later, all the mirrors are clear. We don't get condensation on the windows in the morning. It's taken an old Victorian property and it's turned it into what feels like a new super eco house, and it's economical to run now as well.
What would you say to somebody that was thinking of making their home more energy efficient?
Well, it's the best thing I've ever done to my home. I wish I'd done it earlier, really. I would say if you're planning on staying in the property for a reasonable period of time, then make the investment because it's going to need fixing at some point. The gas and electric has doubled in the last 4 years. It's only going to keep going up and up and up. And I would say if rather than wait 10 or 15 years and then thinking, right, I can't afford to pay these bills anymore, why not do it now? Because you're going to get the benefit over the next 10 or 15 years.